Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, I'm just kidding, but I've been binging on a bunch of episodes I missed of Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, and it is so good. Highly suggest you check it out. We have a sponsor today. It is English breakfast tea with a spot of honey. Because I have a toddler in daycare who picks up everything and brings it home. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from some of our past videos, and that's because I had the chance to sit down and interview or have a conversation with Sabrina and Silvia of Milestone Kitchens in South Africa. Now, they make a product that is known as freestanding kitchens, something we haven't really seen here in North America in decades, pre-World War times, to be honest. And instead of me doing a bunch of research and coming up with reasons why you might like a freestanding kitchen or why it might work with you, I thought it'd be interesting to bring them on the channel and let you tell them all about their product, some of the benefits of it, and why it might be right for you.
Hello everyone, I'm Silvia.
And I'm Sabrina. We own Milestone Kitchens, and together we design and produce freestanding kitchens.
Came across your channel and I came across the video of this freestanding kitchens, and I'm like, this is really old. Like, that was my initial thought is like, we haven't had freestanding kitchens for 80 years, right? So I thought it would be a good idea, instead of me making a video on freestanding kitchens, because I'm by no means an expert in it whatsoever, I would reach out to you guys and kind of do an interview of sorts, but have you discuss your business and discuss the idea behind freestanding kitchens and why you guys chose to go that route, especially you, Silvia, being that you started this and sort of brought in the family, if you will. Why you went that route as opposed to fixed cabinetry? Is it something that is more prevalent there? Is it, is there a specific reason behind it? So why don't we start there? Tell me a little bit about Milestone Kitchens, and then we'll build off that.
What sparked the idea off for me was the fact that two things. First of all, freestanding kitchens are not available for anybody to buy anywhere, and I wanted freestanding kitchen in my own home, and I thought, well, if I can't buy one, I'm going to make it myself.
Okay.
And that's the whole idea. And secondly, we live quite far out of town. We live on a farm. And I thought, well, it's going to be very difficult for me to go and fit kitchens in people's houses because we're stuck out in the middle of nowhere. So the way to do this would be to sell them online and sell them as complete units on their own that people get delivered to their homes and then just place them in the kitchen.
Right. So as you mentioned, you're quite far out of town. So you came up with this concept because you yourself wanted one, which I find is often the case with a lot of businesses. So my question is then, before you started Milestone Kitchens, were you working in kitchen design? Were you working in the cabinet industry or anything really in this realm?
I was working making cabinets for what was then quite an upmarket furniture store.
Okay.
Patio furniture, bedroom furniture, and that store that was ordering from me just closed down. And here I had a factory full of people, lots of machinery, and I'm thinking, how am I going to reinvent myself? To answer the other part of the question, is I always have been very involved in design, and I love cooking. So kitchen design, I know my way around the kitchen. I love cooking. I know what I'm doing. I know what I want, where I want things. That all combine together for me to make it.
She has her honors in fine art.
Okay.
And she also changes the house every 6 months, so it just makes it to have a fitted kitchen.
And I guess with a freestanding kitchen, that becomes easy. You can start rearranging things.
Yep.
Rearranging, repainting, changing colors, changing your work surfaces. Yeah, it gives you so much freedom if you're interested in design and decor, and you get bored easily.
You asked about freestanding kitchens being common in South Africa. They're not common in high-end circles, beautiful, fancy houses designed by interior decorators. But because we have so much low-cost housing, so many rondables with uneven floors, uneven walls, freestanding kitchens are very common in the lower income sector of South Africa. Middle to lower income, because you can't easily put a fitted kitchen into a small, low-cost rural South African house that's got cow dung floors. And so there is definitely a better understanding of the whole freestanding concept here than as compared to in Europe, for example.
Right, and actually it's interesting you bring up Europe, because I would even say that I did a little digging on freestanding kitchens in prep for this, and I would say that even Europe in a lot of ways is so much further ahead of North America in this concept of freestanding kitchens. When the war finished and these prefab metal cabinets came out and they were doing full runs of kitchens in effectively metal cabinets and building kitchens into place, that was sort of the end of freestanding here as we know it, and we just haven't really looked back until I would say a little more recently with the odd piece. So I'm looking behind you, I see what looks like kind of a hutch of sorts. It looks like a pantry cabinet, if you will. And you might see a piece like that in a lot of houses here. They might have found an old hutch that they turned into a pantry or a coffee bar. You might find an old piece that was turned into an island, and those will be freestanding, but they'll anchor or be the centerpiece of what is largely or almost always a fully fixed kitchen.
We've only sold one kitchen to North America. That was to a person in Texas.
Okay.
Other than that, we've sold quite a few kitchens to Europe.
Yeah, a lot in the UK. We've had a lot of inquiries from the US recently, especially in the past year or so. I think it's something to do with our marketing. It's reaching that side of the world now, but the delivery there is just so expensive.
But I think what is interesting is you're sparking the idea in people, and even if they were to take the concept and say find their local small town carpenter here to replicate it, you're still making a difference and bringing a new concept into people, which is really neat.
Which goes back to what you said earlier when you first heard about freestanding kitchens. You said, well, that's actually really old. It is. It's the kind of kitchens that our grandparents,
great-grandparents.
Great.
used to have. They bought a table, and then they bought a grocery cupboard, and then they put a kitchen cabinet, and then they made it all work.
I think 1949 was the first fitted kitchen.
So we've gone back to a concept that was very popular in the old days, and made it work in a modern way.
We now can't think of anything about fitted kitchens that's better than freestanding kitchens. Obviously, we love our product and we're probably biased, but honestly,
I don't know why people would want to stick their furniture to the wall.
The only reason I can think of is that you don't want your kitchen to be stolen.
Okay, so this leads me to it. This is a perfect segue into this. So can you guys take a minute and discuss then some of the advantages you see in freestanding over, say, a fitted kitchen?
Okay, well, firstly, if you have someone like Silvia here and you want to change your kitchen around, you can easily. Or you want to update your floors, you don't have to rip up your kitchen to update your floors. You literally move your kitchen out, redo your floors, and move your kitchen back in. You want to repaint, you want to retile, anything like that. It doesn't involve breaking down your kitchen.
I did a spring clean today, actually, and I took a video of it. We were going to put it on social media. I moved all the kitchen cabinets to the center of the kitchen, mopped behind them, cleaned behind the stove, swept behind the eye level oven. It's spotless. There's nothing there. I moved it all back again. Kitchen's 100% clean and hygienic.
And in the same way for contractors, and I don't know, you have a leak in your sink, and you need to fix it. You can turn off the water, move your sink unit forward and fix it. You don't have to rip out any cupboards. You don't have to worry about, wood getting soaked with water, any of that. We had a client the other day who called us so excited. She was like, the electrician arrived with 4 guys to fix my oven because they thought that they were going to have to do all this work to get it out. And I literally just moved it forward and he only needed 1 guy and they fixed it.
You also, with COVID, or for us in South Africa, it's a safety issue, considering the climate we live in. You don't need wood people in your house for in amount of time while they fit your kitchen. Your kitchen arrives fully assembled. All you do is you place it in place.
You have to put up the wall units. It takes an hour.
So that's actually okay. Since you brought it up, that brings me to my next question. So I do see a wall unit behind you. I have seen wall units that are available. They obviously need to be fixed in some manner. So are they anchored in, an easily changeable way, or are they effectively screwed and anchored directly into the house framing?
Screwed and anchored directly into the wall.
Okay, so they are a little bit harder to move.
Yeah, it's like putting up a picture frame, but with stronger nails.
It's not a big deal. If you want to move your picture, you move it. You just take the screws out and you fill the holes.
But the point is, if you aren't very handy, you're probably going to need to get someone in to help you put it.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned easy to clean behind. That leads me. So I'm a bit of a I'm a bit of a clean freak in many regards. I've ripped apart a lot of old houses that have had countless mouse nests or whatever you want underneath the cabinets.
Exactly.
I have dealt with water leaks. My biggest question though is, so you've got these freestanding cabinets and you spill while cooking, and it goes all down your back wall or it goes all down the side of your stove. Now you're forced to drag everything out to clean it. Whereas say in a fitted kitchen, I have all that sealed. I can just wipe off my countertop and keep working. So isn't that a bit of a drawback?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, can I turn this camera?
Yeah, oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
We're in my house right now. This is my stove. I mean, there's no gaps there for anything to fall down because it's fitted into the unit. So if that was something you were worried about, we could build your stove and oven into the unit.
Okay.
You don't have to have a freestanding stove.
And I even noticed a little lip on the back of your countertop as well. So that is all fitted in as well to create a tight seal.
Yeah, so all of our units have 100mm splashback at the back, and we can make it higher, obviously.
Right. Okay.
In my house, I have a freestanding stove, but I also have a gap that's about that big between my stove and the cabinet. So if something does fall down the side of my stove, I take a cloth and I wipe it. Jeff, another huge advantage of having a freestanding kitchen is that Sabrina spoke about us appealing to the lower income group, but a lot of high-end people also buy our kitchens. And a lot of them, a lot from low income to high end can't afford to buy a full kitchen in one go. And I'm sure it happens with fitted kitchens as well. But in our case, you have the opportunity of just buying one piece at a time and slowly building up your kitchen until you've got the perfect kitchen without a huge financial outlay right at the beginning.
Or renovation, you do one wall at a time, add on as your budget allows.
Yeah, that would definitely be a lot more difficult with a fitted kitchen. I think what we find here is when we are dealing with certain budget constraints, our primary choice is typically either to reduce the level of or the cost of finishes that can then be easily upgraded over time. So a lot of 90% plus of the kitchens we do now install quartz countertops. It's become more or less the norm here, but quartz is expensive. And
Quartz countertops.
quartz countertops, yeah. And it's quite expensive. So what we find is we'll have some clients that'll say they'll install butcher block or a wood style counter with the idea of using it for a year or two and then replacing it once you said they've accumulated those funds again. But there isn't really the option to buy their sink cabinet, work at their sink cabinet for a while with a little bit of countertop on either side, and then buy a pantry. I mean, it's sort of an all or nothing when it comes to cabinets. So that is definitely a nice aspect of going the freestanding route. We have a lot of vacation property here in Canada. A lot of people have lake houses or cottages. And a lot of those properties have been handed down through multiple generations because they are so expensive to buy now. So these are buildings that are, say, 80 or 100 years old. They fall into that very, very crooked floors. Walls are never quite straight. You're not really entirely sure how much that wall can hold in terms of weight. Freestanding kitchens would be, perfect for an item like that. And then at the year end, when you're closing up that lake house or closing up that cottage, you pull everything away and you clean it all up. And you don't need to worry about whatever might be making a home while you're gone for 6 or 8 months.
We also have on our legs, we have little adjustable feet underneath the unit so that you can level them if your floors are uneven.
You stole my next question. That was exactly what I was going to ask. I assume your feet are all self-leveling because you're, like you said, you're putting them in places that are not typically used or available to have a fitted kitchen put in. I want to back up a little bit and go back to Milestone Kitchens. And you guys have, I think, 4 major product lines from what I saw. That you like. 3. Okay. Do you guys?
Bringing out of one. Very excited.
Okay, so that's my question. Do you guys do you constantly introduce, say, new products to those lines, or are you slowly building out new lines? And how do you go about choosing your next piece to include, or choosing your next item that you want to offer to clients?
We have a very comprehensive price list at the moment because my mom has spent 12 years now figuring out everything you could possibly need for a kitchen, but every now and then, like we just recently added a corner wall unit, which is not something we had offered before because it just didn't really fit into the freestanding concept, fitting something into a corner. But sometimes you just can't avoid it.
Right.
Well, we hate corner units.
We all do. We all hate them.
and people have an obsession to fill the corner.
So
we've recently added that, but our list of available units is extremely comprehensive. It's long.
Do you guys do custom work? So if someone were to say, I want X cabinet you offer, but instead of 2 drawers, or instead of a cabinet door, I want 3 drawers, or I want 5 drawers, or I want 6 drawers, 6 skinny drawers. Is that all stuff you guys will then do for clients?
Yep, we'll customize anything.
And that, to answer your previous question, is often what gives us the idea to introduce a new unit to the range. So it's often things that our clients have designed themselves.
So you don't even necessarily have to do the imaginative work. You can kind of let clients do a lot of that for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why on our website, our gallery says kitchens designed by you. It makes our clients feel kind of very proud of their work. It gives them a lot of satisfaction, that you're ultimately responsible for the end design yourself.
There's also a big market for people who are creative, who have a dream, who want to be involved in the whole process, but don't have all the technical knowledge. So, they take our price list, they look at their hand-drawn floor plan, and they're like, oh, I think that could fit there, I think that could fit there. And then they send it to us and we give them our advice. We also offer 3D renders of full kitchens for anybody who wants that, and 2D floor plans. But it really caters to that market of creative, DIY almost type people who want a beautiful kitchen and want to be involved in the process.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I love the concept of getting a client involved and giving them a stake in the process, or having a little bit of say in the process, if you will. Now, I know a lot of my clients, they come to me through YouTube in a lot of cases, and they go, you know, we've watched some of your videos and we really don't have a clue where to start. And we don't even really know what we need. That's a very common one I'll see, is like, we have all this stuff, and we as North Americans love to accumulate things. I'll flat out admit it. I mean, I've got a rule in our house that if a kitchen item comes in, it needs to do more than one thing, otherwise it's not allowed in the kitchen, period. I'm not a fan of single-use kitchen items because you can fill cupboards upon cupboards with them. So we'll have these clients come and they'll go, you know, I have all this stuff I need to store. How am I actually going to fit all of this in my space? And I would say one of the most common themes I see with freestanding kitchens is almost a minimalistic or a minimalist viewpoint on your space, in terms of you don't need 400 base cabinets and 300 wall cabinets to store everything. You can get by with 6 pieces.
Exactly.
I'm the one who always tries to make it work. This is what we can fit here. We can add this. And my mom just straight up says, throw stuff away.
I have a rule, and my rule is if Pick n Pay can store your stuff, why must you? Pick n Pay is our, what do they have in Canada? Tesco.
Walmart? I don't know. Is that American?
Where do you do your groceries?
Walmart is American, but it is heavily found across Canada as well. And we have this need, like I said, of more storage, more storage, because we don't seem to stop accumulating stuff. And this is a conversation I try and have with a lot of my clients is, you know, you're renovating your kitchen. This is the perfect time to sit down and actually go through what you own and decide what you have to have in the new space, and what has been in the back of your cupboard for 10 years untouched.
Jeff, we need to make a rule, a couple of rules. If you can't use it for more than one thing, you get rid of it. If you haven't used it for more than 6 months, chuck it out.
Well, we don't have as different seasons as they do, so maybe a year.
What was the other thing? Oh, if Pick n Pay can store it, you don't need to store it. And talking about bulk groceries.
Yeah.
We can add more to the rule.
That's
to the rules. We can have a whole list.
I would absolutely agree. I think the amount of waste we see here is incredible, especially with food. And a lot of it comes from that bulk buying scene. I couldn't agree more. And that's really, and again, bringing this back to kind of the kitchen side of things, I think that's, again, really interesting about the freestanding kitchens. It's like, there's your pantry. You know, it'll have, I'm assuming, your staples like flour and stuff you're using to bake with. But you're not storing 10 different choices of crackers and cereal.
Yeah. We do have people that have whole separate pantry rooms. You know, people that really live in the middle of nowhere, which is actually quite a common target market for us, because those people find it difficult to find fitted kitchen fitters.
Right.
Because they live 4 hours from the nearest town or something. And then those people will have a whole separate pantry room that will, you know, just do shelves for or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not common.
Yeah, and so that's effectively what we would call kind of like a butler's pantry here, or a walk-in pantry. And we only really see those in larger houses that have the space for them. Like I live in a house that has nowhere near enough room to dedicate a walk-in area for a pantry. And those that do tend to be in, you know, the millions of dollars in a lot of cases, over $1 million for these houses. They're really not a common aspect here. Whether they eat it or use it or not, those rooms become filled up. And it's nice to see a kitchen approach that is not all about consumerism, if you will, and storage. It's more about functionality, what you need at that time.
Oh, the stress of having all that stuff in your house. I can't handle it.
You are extreme.
I'm just thinking about those huge full pantries in Canada. Oh my word.
You mentioned cooking a lot, Sylvia. My wife and I, we spend a ton of time in our kitchen. We also have 3 kids. They always seem to be eating. They don't seem to stop. So we spend a lot of time in there. And I think functionality is so important and often an item that people overlook simply because, well, it's in there somewhere. I'll find it when I need it. But I don't want to spend 10 hours a day in my kitchen cooking 3 meals and lunches for kids and snacks every hour when they get hungry. I want to be able to also empower the kids a little to be like, here's your section of the cupboards. Go in there and grab a snack. It should be just as easy for them as it is for me. So moving along, that brings me to a major question in terms of client work. Have you guys ever turned down clients or a client in terms of someone reaching out and saying, we want this done, and your gut instinct or whatever might have said, this really isn't the project for us? Have you ever had to turn down a client? And if you have, why?
Yes. We've seen something that a client wants us to do that we think is ugly, and we don't want our name on that. Or the amount of times I've been on the phone with a client, because it's been 2 years now since I've been running, and I've been on the phone trying to figure something out, and my mom walks into the room and she's like, no, we're not doing that. We can't make that work. It's too ugly.
Also, we have quite a number of clients asking us, because our kitchens look pretty, so they want us to do them a fitted kitchen, but with our style. And we absolutely won't do a fitted kitchen, no matter how much you beg us. We've turned a lot of people away.
Yeah, who want that. I mean, they can. I tell them, you can bolt it to the wall if you want.
So that's real. So I mean, that's nice though, in the sense that you guys are sticking within your not necessarily lane, but where your strengths are at. You know what you want to provide for clients, and you're not willing to sacrifice that to accumulate more business.
No ways.
Well, the only thing that we will do is we do often do units on plinth, so that it looks fitted. It goes. There's no legs. There's no caster wheels. The base of the unit goes straight to the floor.
Right.
But actually fitted.
A lot of people will buy our units, measure them to the millimeter, so that when they put them in their kitchen, it all looks fitted.
But it's not.
But it's not. And that is, I think that's hilarious.
Well, I mean, in so many ways, that kind of goes against what you are trying to create with this, is the ability to have that adjustability and rearrangement and not have everything fit so perfectly that it really couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And why try hard that it's freestanding?
There's
nothing embarrassing about it.
You need space between the units. You need gaps between them. You need place to move, and just the freedom of not having everything so close and cramped.
Another thing that we didn't mention earlier that I think is quite a big advantage is if you move house, you take your kitchen with you. It's not a wasted investment. And what a lot of people do is they get, because we do units without tops, or we'll do stone tops, or we'll do bamboo tops, whatever you want, although the majority is Canadian ash or solid South African pine tops. And a lot of people get units without tops, have them made flush so that they fit together, and then they'll get a continuous quartz or Caesar stone top over the whole thing.
Okay.
And then it's not so movable, especially if it's a corner. But then when they move house, they can still take that top off, take the units with them, and put them in the corner of their new house. It might not be the perfect kitchen anymore, but they can always buy more Milestone kitchen units to make it fit their new kitchen, and that's a big thing. So while it might not necessarily be movable in the new kitchen, it's movable in your current kitchen, it's movable to your new kitchen in your new home.
So you mentioned moving and taking your kitchen with you. Is that is that a very common aspect in South Africa, that you effectively leave a square blank room with plumbing sticking out of the wall for a sink?
No, I think people get a huge fright when they move into a new house and there's no kitchen. And often we get a call.
Yeah, often.
There's a Milestone Kitchens wall unit in here and nothing else. Please do the rest of our kitchen.
Yeah. We need more Milestone Kitchen units. We bought a house that used to have a Milestone Kitchen in it, and now we need a kitchen.
I can.
You know, Jeff, there's something quite nice about moving into a kitchen that's empty. How often do people buy houses and they hate the kitchen and the bathroom?
And they redo it anyway, you know.
Oh, I would say 9 out of 10 people buy a house and don't like the kitchens and bathrooms that are in it. They're buying it for an area or the floor plan with, like you said, the intent to rip it out anyways. I think to myself right now, so I also do real estate investing, and I've got kind of a real estate investment arm to my company. And I can only imagine that, you know, I go in, I renovate this house, and then I know someone wants to buy it, and they buy it, and then they come the day to take possession, and there's no longer a kitchen in there. I can definitely see getting some angry phone calls from my realtor.
I would say probably about 20% of our production each month is either somebody who's moved into an old Milestone kitchen who wants to top it up, or the units got taken, or somebody who's moved house and wants to add a few units to make their Milestone kitchen work with their new house, or just a client who wants to add on to their current kitchen.
That's incredible to me, the idea of like taking your kitchen with you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's brilliant in a lot of ways. Like you said, to be able to move into a house already at that blank slate, you kind of have a free reign to put what you want in, not what you're forced to take because it's already there. It would raise a few eyebrows here if they bought a house and it no longer had a kitchen in it when they moved in.
You need to leave Milestone Kitchens card in the empty kitchen.
You know what? I'm interested to see the reaction of a lot of people that watch my channel and have reached out to us, and to get their take on it, and hopefully a bit of a discussion down in the comments about a lot of the ideas we've talked about here. So I don't want to take your whole evening up. I know it's coming towards the end of your day and towards dinner time. So I want to ask one final question. And that is, if you could give one piece of design advice, or, you know, a couple pieces of design advice, and not necessarily about freestanding kitchens, just about kitchen design in general.
I always start with the working triangle: sink, stove, fridge. It must be close to each other, easy to move between the three of them, easily accessible, all of that. That's what I start with. Focus on your working triangle.
That's it. I'm the same. I'm exactly the same as Sabrina. I don't have another idea. I say, think about where your working triangle is going to be and go from there. And if you don't know where to put the sink, put it underneath the window.
So so that's really interesting, because like they're standalone kitchens or freestanding kitchens. They're movable, they're changeable, yet a lot of the design elements, so the working triangle, kitchen sink below windows, those are really common themes with how we design fitted kitchens. You know, I stress a lot about the working triangle, and I get a lot of flack about it being a dated concept in our homes nowadays. And
how is it? It's the most important part.
So I'll give you we'll drag this out just a little longer, because my video this week and my video last week on the channel are actually both not necessarily talking about how the working triangle is dated, but it's talking about how we superimpose a new design aspect called working zones over top of the kitchen triangle. So a lot of kitchens now in North America are becoming very open concept. So you will walk into a house and your main floor, or half of your main floor, will be one gigantic room. It'll have your living area, it'll have your dining area, it'll have a kitchen. That kitchen more often than not has an island or a peninsula in it. And it becomes difficult, especially if you've got an island, to create a functional working triangle, because you have this big, largely in many cases, a movable object in the way. Now, I don't think it's dated. I actually think the working triangle is still critical. Even with these spaces that have these immovable kitchen islands, I like to still not have to feel like you're running around your island like a hamster. But I get a decent amount of flack from people about how the working triangle is irrelevant now because it doesn't fit modern kitchens and it doesn't fit the way we design nowadays. But I like talking to you because I think it's largely relevant, and the fact that both of you leaned into the first thing you said is working triangle just gives me so much reassurance that it's still not a dead concept in any way.
Yeah. No.
The way we make our islands work is by either putting a stove or a sink in the island. And then it's not something that's in the way
Of the triangle.
of the triangle. It becomes part of the triangle.
Right. When I design here, I largely keep appliances out of the island. And there's a few reasons for that. One, it almost always involves moving mechanicals, so moving plumbing, moving electrical, moving venting for range hoods. And that is quite costly. It's a very costly endeavor here. The other thing is we have a lot of building codes that we have to abide by when renovating. We have to pull out permits, building permits, and abide by these city inspections that are going to occur.
So we don't have those in South Africa.
Well, and see, that becomes rather interesting because, like, if I put a stove, say I put a gas range or a gas cooktop in the middle of a kitchen island, I need to now make sure that I have enough venting or a range hood above it to pull all of those excess fumes, excess cooking oils, all of that out of the house.
Yeah. I think a huge difference is that houses in Canada and the United States are so well insulated. You guys have such good heating systems and cooling systems. We don't have any of that. Hardly anybody has heaters or air cons because it doesn't get cold enough and it doesn't get hot enough.
We will range from minus 30 degrees Celsius, if not colder, in winter, to this summer had months of plus 30 degrees Celsius. So you're talking about asking like you said, our houses to do so many different things. So there is definitely an aspect of kitchen design that plays a bit of a different role there in the terms of that you don't need to abide by certain needs. You don't need to worry about technically range hoods and all of that when you are designing these spaces. So that is definitely a bonus, I would say, for sure. Well, guys, I won't keep you too much longer. Is there anything else that you'd like to say either about Milestone Kitchens or about freestanding kitchens that we haven't discussed already?
I wanted to say one thing when we were talking about design that's just so relevant, especially in the freestanding kitchen space, is everything in your kitchen doesn't have to be the same, Like, I love to encourage people to have a stone top on their sink unit and maybe their stove unit and then a wooden top on their island, or some glass doors on their wall units and some solid doors, or some plinth and some casters, so that you can move certain things around, easily.
And play with colors as well.
Like, that's such creative freedom. My mom's used freedom a lot it's a key word for her, but creative freedom is such a big thing. It's a huge buzz concept everywhere with everything in the world right now, and that's what Milestone Kitchens and freestanding kitchens gives you, creative freedom. And it's something we really encourage when we're designing a new kitchen with anybody.
Let go of the old stuff, embrace your creativity and run with it.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much for sitting down. I know it was short notice. I know we had a bit of technical glitches there to start with. But I'm really happy we were able to do this. And I'm really happy to, have a discussion about something that is just so unique and different from what I work on every day, but what all of my audience is so used to in terms of these fixed, immovable kitchens where, like you said, it's not old in a sense because it's new, but it's almost becoming dated in its own way in terms of this fixed aspect that you can't ever change, and we spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars renovating, and if you make a mistake, you're effectively stuck with it, where you don't necessarily have those same restrictions with a freestanding kitchen.
Yes, very important.
Thanks so much for getting in touch. really exciting to be interviewed from Canada.
Thank you.
No, not a problem at all. Like I said, came across the video and I was like, you know what, I would love to just have a discussion with you, even if it, never goes past this. In a sense, it's something that it educates me in something different than I work on. I always like to try and learn new things and take away a new approach. So I thank you guys for that. And yeah, let's kind of kick it off there and end it there. And that's all I really have in terms of questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. I had such a good time talking with Sabrina and Silvia last week and just getting to know more about freestanding kitchens and more about Milestone Kitchens and their business. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and enjoyed that topic just as much as I did. And on that note, if there's any other topics you guys would like me to discuss in the future or to bring on people to discuss, let me know. There's lots of little niches in this kitchen industry and lots of people that are just absolutely phenomenally knowledgeable experts in their own little field. So on that note, thanks a ton for watching, and I can't wait to see all of you guys next week.